the fibula. Okay, and in between them there is a modified tissue which is there as a membrane. This is called as the interosseous membrane.
As in the
as in case of the forearm. Okay, here also we have two bones, the radius and the ulnar, and in between there is a membrane called as the interosseous membrane. Similarly, here also we have interosseous membrane, and it is dividing the anterior compartment the front and posterior compartment behind, and we have the lateral compartment. Okay. So these are the bones which you are supposed to study in this lab also. Okay. So the two bones will be the tibia as well as the fibula. So these are the two bones here, and here in between you can see the interosseous membrane. Slight opening at the top and at the bottom. All the way it is totally closed. Okay. So we'll see some of the features of the bone. Then we'll go to the muscles. Okay. First we have to see the tibia. Okay. Tibia has two condyles. The medial condyle and the lateral condyle. And this is the articular surface. Above is the articular surface which articulates with the femur to form the knee joint. Okay. And here is the medial condyle and the lateral condyle. And here in between, if you come in the front, here is the front portion of this, and in between these two condyles in the front, we have something called as the tibial tuberosity. Tibial tuberosity. Why it is important?
because the
What is attached here?
anterior compartment.
No. This is the front. So something of the front should be attached here. What is attached? Which muscle? Articular region. It's a very small muscle. Which one is the most important? The quadriceps femoris. The quadriceps femoris. All the muscle I had told they will come and get inserted to the patella, right? To the base of the patella. And from the base of patella it continues as a single ligament. This is called as the, what is it called as? The single ligament. It is called as patella ligament because it is running from the patella. So it is nothing but the tendon of the quadriceps femoris. All the muscles join together and a single tendon runs, and that is inserted to this tibial tuberosity. So that's why this tibial tuberosity is very important, because the most important muscle of the thigh which extends the knee is getting inserted to this. Okay. So this is the tibial tuberosity. Okay. Then if you see continue in the front, there is the anterior border. Okay, this is the anterior border. This is called as the shin. This is also called as the shin. So this is subcutaneous. If you touch it, you can feel it. Okay, so you can feel the shin of the tibia. Okay, so that is the anterior border as well as even the medial border. This is the medial surface. This is the medial surface. That is also subcutaneous. So there is no muscle here. So you can see when there is any trauma, it will give like a shock because it is directly on the bone itself. Okay, so this is called as the shin, and medially we have this whole surface subcutaneous. So the bone is directly in contact with the skin. Okay. Then, so this is the anterior border here. Okay. So this is what you can see. If you go down medially, there is the bony projection here. You can feel it. This is called as the medial malleolus. If you cannot see, you can come in the front also. Okay, no problem. Come in the front and see. Okay. This is called as the, you can see, feel your own bone. So the medial one is called as the medial malleolus. Okay. So on the top we have the medial condyle, lateral condyle. In the center we have the tibial tuberosity. This is the shin or the anterior border and the medial surface, and it continues down as the medial malleolus. Okay. And this is called as the styloid process of the tibia. Okay. Then fibula is the next bone. Here you can see the head. This is the head of the fibula. Okay. So this will continue in the front. Okay. So this is the whole is the shaft. So we have the anterior border for this also, and you come down on the lateral side. We have the lateral malleolus. Lateral malleolus is formed by the fibula. Medial malleolus is formed by the tibia. Okay. So there are more additional features which will again tell you. Okay. So you have seen the lateral condyle and medial condyle. Then you have seen the tibial tuberosity. Okay. So this is the anterior border and this is the medial surface. Okay. Yeah, shin bone, and here on the lateral side, this is the lateral border, or it is also part of the interosseous border. Just like in case of the radius and ulnar, here also there is interosseous border of the tibia, and on the other side we have the interosseous border of the fibula. Okay, so this is the anterior border. Just to that there is the second border. This is part of the interosseous border of the fibula. So both will be connected by the interosseous membrane. Okay. So this is the medial surface, which is subcutaneous, and this is the lateral surface, which has lot of muscles here. Okay. So this is the lateral surface, the medial surface. So here you can see the medial malleolus, and here this is the articular surface, okay, where it will be articulating with the ankle. Okay. So this is the lateral malleolus, and now you see the head of the fibula has a head, and below that there is a constriction. It's called as the neck of the fibula. Just below the head is the neck, and on the top of it we have something called as the apex of the fibula, also called as the styloid process of the fibula. Why it is important? Styloid process of the fibula. What is attached? It doesn't articulate with the knee joint at all. Okay, now knee joint is between the femur and the tibia. There is no articulation of the fibula in case of knee joint. Okay. So what else? What is attached?
What's your question, Dixon?
Which is the muscle?
Your question. What's the question?
What is the muscle attached to the apex of the fibula? Because we have already covered that. The muscle. Common peroneal nerve will be near the neck of the fibula. Okay. And I am talking about the apex of the fibula. Muscles supplied by? The muscle of the posterior compartment. That is the biceps femoris. Biceps femoris. No, both the heads. Okay. When they take origin, then they will have separate heads. When they get inserted, they will have a single. Similar like that of the biceps. Okay. Here it will have two heads. But when it comes, it will have a single insertion. Okay. So similarly, the biceps femoris is attached to this very important muscle. The muscle which is forming the lateral border for the popliteal fossa. Okay, so that muscle is attached to the lateral side. So this bone is on the lateral side. So it is inserted to the apex of the fibula, biceps femoris. Okay, so we'll talk about other muscles later. Okay, this is the anterior border, then the interosseous border, and then we have we will talk about this lateral malleolus. Okay, so this is the anterior feature. Coming to the posterior. Okay, again you can see this is the posterior feature, and this is the articular surface, and in between there is intercondylar space. Okay, non-articular space. Okay, so these are the condyles, and in between we have the intercondylar space with eminences on them. Okay, coming to this part behind this surface, this posterior surface, this is called as the, what is this surface called as? This is called as the popliteal surface. The lower part of the femur has popliteal surface. Similarly, the upper part of the tibia also has popliteal surface. Popliteal surface. Yeah. The upper part of the posterior, this is the posterior view seen from behind. So the upper part, this part is called as the popliteal surface. Why it is called as popliteal surface? Because it forms the base of the popliteal fossa. No, not for that reason, but because it gives insertion to a muscle called as popliteus. Okay. So it gives insertion to a muscle called as the popliteus here. So that's why it is called as the popliteal surface. Okay. Below that there is an oblique line. Okay. This is called as the soleal line. We will talk about this soleus muscle, and then we will see the origin of this muscle. It has a big origin both on the tibia as well as the fibula. So it gives a oblique line. This is called as the soleal line, which continues even on the fibula. Okay. Then we have this is the posterior surface. Okay, of this tibia all the way down. And here we have the medial malleolus coming to the fibula. As you can see, this is the apex, this is the head, and the neck of the fibula. Neck of the fibula, as your friend said, is there is a very important relation of the common peroneal nerve. It will rotate here and it winds around the neck of the fibula, and then it divides into two branches, superficial and deep. Okay, we'll talk about that later. So that's why this relation of the neck of the fibula is important. Okay. Then we have, this is the interosseous border. Then we have the posterior border of this one. Okay, this is the posterior border of the fibula, and here we have the lanceolate malleus, and this is the articular surface which is articulating with the ankle. This some of the features of the tibia and the fibula. Going back to the muscles of the compartment. So this is the posterior compartment. First we will start about the posterior compartment because that is the most important compartment here. Okay, so this is how we can see. So this, as I said, the posterior compartment extends from the knee to the ankle, but the muscles extend beyond, just like in case of the forearm. So even though the forearm extends from the elbow joint to the wrist joint, but all the muscles even extend to the hand, right? So similarly here also, even though this extends between the knee and the ankle, but the muscles will extend beyond that, okay, into the foot. Okay. And this back of muscle is also called as the calf. This is the other name. So these muscles of this back of leg will be called as the calf muscles. So whenever they might ask you, mention the names of the calf muscles. So you should know what do you mean the calf muscle. Just like I had told, the posterior compartment of the thigh will be called as hamstring. So they can directly ask a question on hamstring or in the calf. Okay, so you should be able to know the other name for these compartments also. Okay, so these are called calf muscles, and they are divided into two groups. One is the superficial and deep. Okay, so there are a lot of muscles, so they are divided into two. If you can see here, this is the tibia and this is the fibula. Okay, so this is the anterior compartment, this is the posterior compartment. Posterior compartment is again divided by a intermuscular septum into a superficial compartment and a deep compartment. Okay, so the posterior compartment is again divided into superficial and deep. Okay, superficial will have 3 muscles and the deep will have 4 muscles. Totally 7 muscles for this compartment. Okay, so here also you can see the 3 superficial muscles and the 4 deep muscles here. Separates the superficial and deep compartment. Posterior compartment. Calf. We are talking about the calf muscles. Okay. So this superficial compartment, now you can see here the first muscle, that is the gastrocnemius muscle, which is cut here. You can see the previous picture. Here you can see the gastrocnemius with the medial head and the lateral head. You have already seen. Okay. So it has 2 heads, and this is the belly of the gastrocnemius muscle. Okay, and this is a long tendon. This is called as the Achilles tendon. Okay, so here it is cut. Okay, so this is the gastrocnemius muscle, and this is a long tendon. This is called as the Achilles tendon. Okay, Achilles tendon. This is called Achilles because they have a legendary story about this, that there was a prince who was very strong and he could not be killed except his weakest point was this part. So they hit an arrow on this part and he was killed. Okay, so that person prince name is called as Achilles. So it is called as Achilles tendon. Okay, so this is the Achilles tendon here, and this is the biceps femur. Okay, so the biceps femur is the gastrocnemius is taking origin from here on the other side. Okay, so this is the medial head and the lateral head of the gastrocnemius, and this is the here with the belly which is cut, and this is the tendon of the gastrocnemius. The second muscle deep inside is called as the soleus. This is the soleus muscle. Okay, so I said there is a soleal line. Okay, so this soleal line is because of this one. So we have seen here there is a soleal line. This is because of this muscle which has a big origin, which is okay. So here you can see the same thing from where this thing origin all the way from here up to the femur. So this is called as the soleus muscle. Again, the insertion will be along with this. Okay, together. Then we have a small muscle called as the plantaris. So you can see here there is a small muscle called as plantaris. This is actually a degenerated muscle with a small belly and a long tendon. This is the tendon of the plantaris. All the way again it comes here. Okay, so this is the origin of this muscle. Small belly and a long tendon. Okay, this is called as the plantaris. This is the degenerated muscle. Okay. So the nerve supply of all these muscles is by the one of the branch of the sciatic nerve, that is the tibial nerve. See here the tibial nerve is coming and it supplies all the muscles of this compartment. Okay. Coming to the actions, the first is the gastrocnemius muscle, the most important muscle. because this is the chief plantar flexor of the ankle. What do you mean by plantar flexion? Plantar flexion means the foot is there. Okay, so if you press it down, this is called a plantar flexion. Okay, in case of foot, we don't have extension. Both are flexion. This is plantar flexion, this is dorsiflexion. Plantar flexion, dorsiflexion. So both are flexions. Okay, so here this helps in the plantar flexion. Plantar is down, so this is the plantar surface. So this is called as plantar flexion. When you press it down, then it is called as the plantar flexion. So this is the most important muscle, chief plantar flexor of the ankle, and this helps in walking. So whenever you are pressing, you press and then lift your foot. So this movement is done by the plantaris, the gastrocnemius muscle. Okay, so press on the plantar surface and push your body forwards. So this is the chief plantar flexor of the ankle. Okay, this is the gastrocnemius muscle. The second is the soleus muscle. This is also the muscle which helps in the plantar flexion of the ankle, and it also helps in standing. It steadies the foot on the ground. Okay, so this is the second muscle which also helps. The third muscle is plantaris. It's a very small muscle, so it doesn't have much because it is rudimentary. It is already degenerated. Okay, so these are the three muscles: gastrocnemius, soleus, and the plantaris. Okay, so here you can see again the gastrocnemius muscle with the medial head and the lateral head. If you can see here, this is the origin. I did not mention here, but I am just showing you the origin insertion so that you have the concept. Okay, so the medial head is taking origin and the lateral head. This is the head, lateral head, and the medial head. What is this margin called as? What is this called as? What is this part called as?
Condyle.
Huh?
Medial head.
Above the condyle. Above the condyle. This is above the condyle. So it is called as? This is the femur. Head will be here. Head will be on the top. Okay. This is the lower part. Okay. These margins are called as? Huh? Right. Bicondyle. Epicondyle. Epicondyle. What?
Lateral admitted condyle.
These are called as supracondylar margins on the side. Medial as well lateral, just like in case of humerus also. Supracondylar margins.
Margins or ridge.
Ridge or margins, both are same. Yeah. Okay. Supracondylar ridge or margin. Okay. So this will be taking origin from the lateral and the medial supracondylar margins. Okay. So this is the from and the medial and lateral supracondylar margins will take origin, and it goes all the way just like here, and it gets inserted to this bone. This is called the calcaneus. It is a very important insertion of this muscle. Okay, so it is getting inserted to the back, so it helps in whenever it pulls, it will push the foot downwards. So it is pulled here, so this whole of the plantar surface comes down. Gastrocnemius. Yeah. Along with that, even the soleus is also active. Okay, so here you can see these two muscles together are getting inserted together. Okay, so both have the action, but the most major muscle is this gastrocnemius. Second to that is the soleus. Soleus, as I said, it has a very long voice all the way. Yeah.
So, gastrocnemius has two parts. Or,
Yeah, it has two heads.
yeah.
Two heads. Medial head and lateral head. Okay. There are many muscles which have two heads. Biceps femoris also has two heads.
About its name.
Yeah.
About its biceps something.
Yeah. Because you cannot have many biceps.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's why this is called as, they have other name.
Yes.
This is called gastrocnemius, and it has two heads. Okay. Okay. So this is the gastrocnemius. The second is the soleus muscle. This is taking origin from the soleal line on the posterior surface of the tibia and on the fibula, and it is going all the way along with the same tendon of the Achilles tendon and getting inserted to the calcaneus bone. So both will have similar function. Whenever they will pull the plantar surface down. The third muscle is the plantaris. Small muscle, very small muscle. So it takes origin again from the above the lateral head of the gastrocnemius supracondylar margins, and it will be going all the way again to a small part near the tendon or Achilles tendon. Okay. So this is the insertion of all these muscles and origin. So these are three muscles, and you know the action. Coming to the next muscles, the deep muscles of this posterior compartment. The first one is called as the popliteus. I was telling you. Okay, this is the popliteus muscle. The typical feature of this muscle is this is the only muscle which is intracapsular. All the muscles, usually the muscles will be outside, right? Outside the capsule of the knee joint or any joint. Okay, but here this is intracapsular. Okay, even in case of shoulder there is one long head of biceps. Yeah. Okay. Similarly, here the popliteus is in intracapsular. Okay. So this is the popliteus muscle, and see the insertion. See this is the origin and this is the insertion. So that's why I said this is called as the popliteal surface, because it get inserted to this posterior surface of the top. Okay. So this is the popliteus muscle. The second is the flexor digitorum longus. If you can see here, this is the flexor digitorum longus, as the name indicates. Okay. It is flexor, so it helps in flexion. Digitorum, because it goes and it divides into multiple divisions, and it supplies the, and it gets inserted to the lateral 4 digits. Digits means fingers, but in case of foot we call it as toes. Okay, the big toe, great toe, and the smaller toes. So it gets inserted to the lateral 4 toes. Okay, on the dorsal surface at the base of the distal phalanx. Okay, so this is the flexor digitorum longus. The third muscle is the flexor hallucis longus. Hallucis means the big toe. Yeah. So this is called as hallux, the big toe. Okay. So that's why it is called as the flexor hallucis longus. As the name indicates, it helps in the flexion of what? Hallucis, the great toe. So this is the origin of this muscle, and it's going all the way and getting inserted here. Okay. The fourth muscle is the tibialis posterior. Okay, this is the tibialis posterior taking origin. If you can see here, tibialis posterior, the origin of this tibialis posterior is from the two bones, the tibia and the fibula, as well as from the interosseous membrane. Okay, and it goes all the way and it gets inserted to a bone here called as the medial cuneiform. So there are 3 cuneiforms: medial, intermediate, and lateral. When you study the foot, at that time you study this. Okay, so it gets inserted to the medial cuneiform. Okay, so these are the 3 muscles. So if you can see here, this is the flexor hallucis longus origin. Okay, flexor hallucis longus. So it is taking origin from here, from the fibula, going all the way towards the great toe, coming from the lateral, going towards the medial. Okay, then we have, this is the origin for the flexor digitorum longus. Okay, so this is the origin here. This is the same muscle and getting inserted to the base of the distal phalanx. Okay, so if you can see here, the same tendons here. One is the flexor digitorum longus coming here and dividing into 4. This is the picture of the foot, and it is going all the way to the distal phalanx. Distal phalanx, you know, there are 3 phalanges: the proximal, intermediate, and the distal. Okay, distal means away from the body. Proximal means towards the center. Okay, but the great toe has only 2 phalanges. Okay, the same as proximal and distal, just like the hand and the thumb. Okay. Okay, so here we have the 3 digits, and here there are only 2. Okay, this get inserted to the base of the distal phalanx. What do you mean by base? It has 3 parts. All the phalanges has 3 parts. The head, this is the shaft, and this is called as the base. So this get inserted to the base of the lateral 4 digits. Okay, it goes and divides into lateral 4 digits and get inserted dorsal surface at the base of the distal phalanx. Okay. Then we have the flexor hallucis longus. As the name indicates, it goes only to the hallux, the great toe, and get inserted into the base of the distal phalanx of the great toe. Okay. Then we have the tibialis posterior. So this is the insertion of the tibialis posterior. Get inserted to the medial cuneiform. So these are the 3 bones here, which are 3 muscles, and the popliteus we already see. It has short origin and insertion. Okay. So all these are again supplied by the tibial nerve. Same tibial. Okay. The actions. So if you see here, popliteus has a very important function. There is a very important movement in the knee joint which is not there in anywhere else. This is called as the locking and unlocking of the knee joint. So whenever you stand, whenever you extend, so from flexion now you want to stand. When you are standing, if you stand for a long time, then all the muscles should act and you lose lot of energy. To prevent that, there is something called as locking. So whenever the femur comes to the extension, it suddenly locks on the tibia. So now all the muscles are relaxed and they are standing on the bone. Yeah. Okay. So this is called as the locking. Okay. So the just opposite is the unlocking. So whenever you want to, now you want to move, I am standing now, I want to move. First it will unlock, then it will flex. Okay. So this is called as unlocking, and this is only in case of knee. Nowhere else we have the locking of the joints. Okay. Here in the knee we have the locking. Okay. This is done. The unlocking of the knee joint before you move is done by the popliteus muscle. Very important function done by this muscle called as the popliteus. Okay. The second is the flexor digitorum longus. As the name indicates, they all flex in the flexion of the lateral 4 digits as well as the flexion of the ankle joint. Okay. The flexor hallucis longus, as the name indicates, it flexes the hallux, the great toe, as well as the ankle joint, as well as it maintains something called as the medial longitudinal arch. When the foot is there, it is not flat. Foot has arches.
Yes.
What happened? Why you are continuously talking? Both of you. If you have some difficulty, you can ask me. Okay. When a teacher is there, you should communicate with the teacher, not side talks. Okay. Okay. So whenever you have some difficulty, you can ask me. Both of you. Okay. So whenever there is foot, okay, the foot is not flat. It has arch. Okay. So there is something called as medial longitudinal arch and a lateral longitudinal arch. And there is something called as transverse arch. When you study the foot, at that time again in detail you study. Okay. So this medial longitudinal arch is maintained by the flexor hallucis longus, because I said the origin is on the lateral side from the fibula. Okay, but it is getting inserted to the medial side, medial uniform. So it going all the way from the lateral to the medial side. Okay. So that's why. So it will be maintaining the longitudinal arch. Okay. Similarly, the tibialis posterior. This also helps in a very important movement. Again, this is only in case of the ankle joint. Okay, in case of foot. So there is something called as the inversion and eversion of the foot. If you hold the foot, lift it, turn it medially. Okay, like this. This is called as the inversion. Outward movement is called as the eversion. Inversion movement and eversion. These are the
midline.
Yeah. So inside movement is called as inversion. Away is called as eversion. Okay, so these two movements again they are present only in case of this in the foot, nowhere else. Okay.
There is a problem in the exam.
Yeah. If there is flat foot, there is some problem. Might be in the muscles or in the bones.
Nerve.
Okay. Or sometimes in the nerve also, because the muscle supplying, the nerve supplying the muscle might be injured, and that leads to the flat foot. Okay. Okay, so this is about the tibialis posterior, that it helps in the inversion of the foot. Also maintains the medial and lateral transverse arches. Okay, so this is the how they are getting inserted. Coming to the blood supply, all these muscles are supplied by an artery called as the posterior tibial artery. There is nothing but the branch of the popliteal artery. You see here, this is the popliteal artery, the popliteal fossa. When it comes down into the soleus, then it divides into two branches, anterior tibial artery and the posterior. So this is the posterior tibial artery. Then this posterior tibial artery again gives a branch called as fibular artery. So both these arteries will be supplying the posterior compartment of the leg. Okay, here also you can see the same popliteal artery dividing into anterior and posterior, and the posterior continues with the fibular artery and supply the posterior compartment. Okay. Coming to the nerve supply, as I said, the tibial nerve. Okay. So this is the tibial nerve, which is the branch from the sciatic nerve at the upper part of the popliteal fossa. It comes down, and see here the posterior tibial artery and the tibial nerve running downwards, and they supply this whole compartment.
So what is the termination site of
Common peroneal nerve. We'll talk about that. Still we are in posterior compartment and the tibial nerve. Okay. Coming to the anterior compartment. Okay. So in the posterior compartment, I said there is superficial and deep. Superficial have 3 muscles, and the deep will have 4 muscles. 7 muscles totally. Coming to the anterior compartment, there are only 4 muscles. Okay, so they are lesser. Okay, so the first muscle is called as the tibialis anterior. See the names, they are very similar. Yeah, all these first 3 names are similar to that of the posterior. So if you know of one compartment, yeah, instead of flexor, it will be called as extensor. There it is tibialis posterior, it is anterior because it is the anterior compartment. Okay, so this is called as the tibialis anterior. Okay, So here also you can see the origin of this tibialis anterior. So there is tibialis anterior, as the name indicates, it is in the front, and it again goes behind and get inserted to something called as the plantar aponeurosis. Like in case of the palm, we have something called as the palmar aponeurosis. Have you studied it?
Yes.
It is triangular shape. Similarly, in the foot also, there is something called as the plantar aponeurosis. Again, modified deep fascia. Please. What do you want? Why you talking? I don't know. If you are not interested, we will stop here. We'll go directly to it. Okay, if you already know everything about this, I don't have to speak.
No.
Huh? Okay.
We didn't know.
So there is a tibialis posterior, anterior, which is taking origin from here and getting inserted to the plantar aponeurosis. The second muscle is the extensor hallucis longa. As the name indicates, it is hallux. Okay, so it is taking origin from interosseous membrane, going to the hallux. Again, to the same part, to the distal phalanx, base, but dorsal surface, not the palmar surface, but on the dorsal surface. Okay. Similarly, the extensor digitorum longus take origin from here all the way and divides just like the flexor. Okay, here also it divides into 4 tendons and it goes to the base of the distal phalanx of all the 4 lateral digits just on the dorsal surface. The fourth muscle is the additional muscle which is called as peroneus tertius. There is an additional muscle, small muscle here, which is taking origin and getting inserted to the metacarpal, the last of. Okay, so this is the peroneus tertius. These are the 4 muscles of this anterior compartment. The nerve supplying will be called as the deep peroneal nerve. Okay, so this is the deep peroneal nerve. As your friend said, near the neck of the fibula, it divides into superficial and deep. So the deep peroneal nerve will be supplying this compartment, and the blood supply is by the anterior tibial artery. Now see the picture of this. So this is the neck of the fibula, this is the common fibular nerve or the peroneal nerve. Always the terms fibular or peroneal are used vice versa. Okay, so they are called by both the names. Okay, so this is the common peroneal nerve dividing into deep and the superficial. Okay, so the deep will be supplying the anterior compartment. Along with that is the anterior tibial artery, branch of the popliteal artery. Okay, so this is the anterior. On the posterior we have the posterior tibial artery. So both are coming down, and they have a very important feature. When they come down, this is called as the dorsalis pedis artery. So whenever you are palpating the arteries, one of the arteries which you feel on the dorsum of the foot is the dorsalis pedis artery. Okay.
Case of posterior tibial artery, the blood supply of the posterior part, all the posterior or just the deep?
No, all the muscles are posterior. Okay. So here is the anterior tibial artery. Okay, and the deep peroneal. Okay. So the actions, coming to the actions, one is all help in the dorsiflexion, that is lifting of the foot of the ground. So dorsiflexion, then inversion of the foot by the tibialis anterior, just like the tibialis posterior. This also helps in the inversion. Tibialis anterior and posterior together will help in inversion of the foot. Okay. The third is the extensor hallucis longus. As the hallux is there, so it helps in the extension of the hallux as well as the ankle joint. Okay. Then we have the extensor digitorum longus. As the name indicates, it will be helping in the dorsiflexion of all the digits as well as the ankle joint. Okay. Then there is peroneus tertius, the last muscle. Because it is on the lateral side, so it helps in the eversion of the foot along with the lateral compartment. Yeah, that is inversion. Eversion is opposite, outside. Okay, inversion inside and eversion is outside. If you can see here, so the person is trying to lift dorsiflexion, so you can see the extensor digitorum longus, which is this tendon. So you can see all this tendon, and here you can see the peroneus tertius. On the medial side, you can see the tibialis anterior. So this is how you can see with different movements. You can see check the tendons also. Okay. Coming to the last compartment, this is called the lateral compartment. It has only 2 muscles. One is the peroneus longus and the brevis. So these are the 2 muscles here, peroneus longus and the brevis. Okay. So this is supplied, as you can see in this picture, is supplied by the superficial, because the deep will be supplying the anterior compartment, so the superficial will supply the lateral compartment. As I said, because it is on the lateral side, so they help in the eversion of the foot. Along with the peroneus tertius, peroneus longus and brevis help in the eversion. Inversion is by tibialis anterior and posterior. All other muscles are either plantar flexor or the dorsiflexors. Okay. So these are the mainly everters of the foot. Okay. Then they also help in the posture at the ankle joint, and they help in the maintenance of the longitudinal arch, lateral longitudinal arch. The arch which is on the lateral side is maintained by these muscles. Okay, so this is about the muscles. Coming to the nerves. Okay, so we had to know something about these nerves. We already know some of the features. One is the superficial peroneal nerve. This is the superficial peroneal nerve, which is supplying the lateral compartment. So it is the main nerve of the lateral compartment. Origin at the neck of the fibula from the division of the common peroneal nerve. And the course and relation, it runs all the way along the lateral side and passes through the peroneus longus muscle, and it divides into medial lateral branches, and it supplies the two muscles. Okay, and it descends up to the foot. Muscular branches to the longus and brevis, and cutaneous branches to the lower 1/3 of the lateral side of the dorsal foot. You see here, this is the area supplied by the superficial nerve, skin. There is a skin supply, cutaneous supply. Okay, so this is supplied by the lateral 1/3 of the dorsum of the foot. Okay. Then it also communicates with two other nerves which are supplying. One is the saphenous nerve. I was studying the saphenous nerve. So yeah, but it is supplying the foot. Okay, supplying the medial side. So it communicates with the saphenous and the sural nerve which supplied the lateral part. Okay, so there is the communication of this nerve. This is the superficial nerve. Coming to the deep peroneal nerve, as you know, this is the nerve of the anterior compartment of the leg. Okay. Origin again from the neck of the fibula, and it is branch of the common peroneal nerve, and its course. Okay. It begins at the fibula, then it comes through the intermuscular septum and the extended division longus, and it accompanies, as you have already seen, it accompanies the artery, that is the anterior tibial artery, all the way, and goes up to the foot. Okay. And because it is coming between the two digits of the foot, so it supplies only this part of the skin. Okay, so because you can see here it is longer and it comes between the great toe and the next toe. So it's why it supplies a very small part of the skin. Even though it supplies a lot of muscles, but it supplies a very small part of the skin. So this is the cutaneous supply. Okay. The muscular supply is, it is supplying all the four muscles of the anterior compartment. That is the tibialis anterior, extensor hallucis longa, extensor digitorum longus, as well as the peroneus tertius. Okay. Then along with that, it also supplies a small muscle here called as the extensor digitorum brevis. Actually, what we have here is the extensor digitorum longus. Similarly, in case of foot, there is a small muscle called as the extensor digitorum brevis. So it also supplies that. Along with that, it also supplies two interossei, dorsal interossei. Like just like in case of the hand, we have the palmar interossei and dorsal interossei. Similarly, we have interossei here. So it supplies the first and second dorsal interossei here. Okay. So this is the nerve supply. Okay. Along with that, you should know something here. This is called as the there is objective to know the something called as the retinaculum. Okay. So there are two retinaculums. If you can see here, this is called as the superior extensor retinaculum. Okay. So this is the extensor retinaculum, almost 1.5 inch wide, and it is between the two bones, the tibia and the fibula. So it is attached medially to the lower part of the anteborder of the tibia here, and here to the fibula. Okay, and it is a septum which will keep all the structure in its position. So all the structures, the relation will be deep to it, except this one, the tibialis anterior, which splits this retinaculum and passes through it. All other structures, the antitibial artery, posterior, deep peroneal nerve, all will pass deep to it. Okay, so that is the relation of this. Second is the something called as the inferior retinaculum. Just like the superior extensor retinaculum, there is something called as the inferior. It is Y-shaped. Okay, so all these are the nothing but the modified deep fascia. Okay, so it splits into two. The stem, main stem is from the calcaneus bone here. Then it splits into two bands. The superior band will go to the the tibia goes to the medial malleus of the tibia, and the lower part, that is the lower band, will go to the plantar aponeurosis. And these retinaculum, again they will hold the tendons and they will keep all these tendons in their position, because they are pulling muscles. If the muscle is pulled, at that time the tendon might come out. Okay, they might strip. So to hold them in position so that there can be good movement. So all these retinaculum will be holding them in its position. Okay, all the structures which are below that are the relations. One is the extensor dilator longus, this is the hallucis longus, as well as even the tibialis posterior, and this is the dorsalis pedis artery. All these will be in the relation. Okay. So these are some of the features. Okay, if you have any doubts, you can ask me. If not, we'll go to the lab. We'll see the bone as well as the